Hello, welcome to one half of the Misplay for Game Car Pod experiment. Today, with me, your host, TheTommyNT, in the car, I have friend of the show, DHM,
Yo,
artists King Kai and Emilini, better known perhaps in the Digimon space as Hopper and Hare.
What's
Hello.
up?
Thanks for being in the car with me, guys. I know you had a lot of choice to not being in the car.
I didn't feel like driving.
I hecking love Bristol.
Yeah, that's where we're going. We're going to Bristol. Why, you might ask? Tom, tell the listeners why we're going to Bristol.
Is this Easter weekend, might I add, the 3rd of April through the 5th of April, will be or I suppose it starts tomorrow, the 4th. It just happens to be the 3rd that everyone's traveling at. It's the first UK regional of the year. It's Bristol, back at the football venue that I can't remember the name of. That if somebody does end up editing this, we'll probably have like either text or a picture
I
of
think
it.
it's like Ashton Stadium or something.
Like that, yeah. But it's their football ground in Bristol, so very cool. It's a cool venue. I liked it last time. If things don't go to plan, you might see me in a video from that place in about 2 days. So we'll see. But yeah, it's cool. It's the first one of the year, first UK event. Sorry, first European event post ban list from March 2026. So post hoodie, post Dark Animal hits, Mirage unrestricted, Shine unrestricted. There's some stuff to it. So everyone, we're not, the thing with the car pods that we've experimented with so far is that they're not really about Digimon. So I'll give you my last 2 cents on this, but it's also sort of about where you're going and what you're doing. So I feel like we don't get a chance to talk about regionals a lot on here and like the experience. I want to shout out the homie Demon Fang X, my guy Thomas. He's Omnix Thomas now because he's one of the best players in Europe. But he did that great write up a while back about things you should consider when you go to a regional, and it's like, don't put extra cards in your deck box. Make sure you've got bottles of water.
Make sure you've got food.
Yeah, take a shower, you animals, that sort of stuff.
Stick a deodorant in your bag.
But I thought, given the context of all of us traveling down, and then some recent news about tokens and maybe the restriction and unrestriction and again restriction of said tokens, this might be an interesting ride. So you guys have got us, and I'm sure in the other car, I don't know, Jambo probably called Jamie Minikill like a dog man or something.
Might have threatened Kohei Murata's life again.
Yeah.
Please insert the clip where JP
Here's
is being called a dog
Jambo's
man.
most egregious sentence.
Yummy, yum, yum. Check out OmniX on YouTube. There'll be a short posters of me sucking down a delicious dill pickled Pepsi.
I love that. Congratulations. Can we get some congrats Jambos in the comments? Because Jambo got a new job.
Congrats, Jambo.
Pog Jimbo.
Yeah. How you feeling with Bristol, yeah?
The big sigh that follows is very telling. No, Bristol's gonna be fun.
Would you rather be at Bristol again like we are now, or driving up to Glasgow like we did this time
I
last
think
year?
I prefer Glasgow.
Oh, look, Glasgow has the really nice, like Japanese place that we went for food. Like, don't get me wrong, we have booked us all into Cosmo tomorrow evening, which will be hype. But there's that really nice Japanese place where we all went downstairs for everything.
Although we're all sat
Yeah.
sat at,
It was like the traditional
a
like
sunken table.
traditional Japanese restaurant kind of setup, and it was really good food. We went there like the first evening because I found it and went, you know what, I could fuck up some ramen. So we went there, and it was so good that we went again the very next night
With a massive group of us.
like with a massive group. This is the thing. We have so many friends. Yes, I'm going to brag officially. We have so many friends that now are like, oh, what do we do
We have
after
massive
the
groups
tournament?
for events as well. Not even just friends, just like the group that we are.
That's true.
For traveling with for events is so big. It is hard to just rock up somewhere and say we've got a table for 20. Please seat us.
Yeah.
Because that is what we have booked for. We have booked a table of 20 for tomorrow, and that's like with one person probably not showing up. But who knows? We might adopt more people, but they gotta pay for themselves to get in.
Yeah.
So the bag is a little mixed on Bristol. I feel like if you're
Okay, that's what we were talking about.
Well, we were just waiting for a ban list for a while, so it felt like you couldn't test properly.
Yeah,
that's
they
the
kind
thing.
of
I
had
feel
that like understanding that hoodie loop specifically would be like gone and removed from the format. But the question was always
What else?
what else gets removed from the format, as well as what the choice to remove hoodie loop was. Because like if it's choice restrict, if it was choice restrict shock with the revert rookies, then you still actually have to deal with like full power regular hoodie. If it's limit shock like we did in the end, it means the deck is much less like flexible, and it's no longer the taunt proof best taunt deck itself. It's now Ryuji is a little bit more of a offensive card than a defensive card. And then like the Dark Animal hits just mean that we don't have to deal with KDA Masta in any capacity, thank God.
Or Levia.
Or Levia, really, yeah. Which is nice, but it's like we also
The gator got put down.
yeah, we were expecting
I give me here.
I was
I'll be
praying for like a interaction with Crimson Blaze, but the problem with Crimson Blaze is it is Droll and Lockbird, where if you hit Crimson Blaze, there's the theoretical go wide decks, your puppets, your Diaboromon, I guess,
TS.
your TSs that like are left unchecked in a world post Crimson Blaze. But I am so far down on this, like we could also just hit the things that go wide and then hit Crimson Blaze as well, because neither really promote an interesting game of Digimon in both directions. But not seeing a Crimson Blaze hit just means that we're in that like de facto Medusa sort of best deck in room, like very few questions asked. It interacts favorably with all the other like good decks around it. But it is also interesting to like, I think one of the things about this event that's so funny is the proximity to AD's release and the ban list means that it's
And LM, right?
and LM, yes. So we all have the dual trainings now. So everyone can be on either 4 trainings and you'll get sacked by the dual color one, or 5 trainings and you get sacked by the dual color one. Or you could be exactly Bs and play 2 dual color ones.
It's truly evil, actually.
Yeah, they play the yellow black one and the green red one, and you can cast both of them on Tama because they ignore color requirement the first time. But the AD stuff is interesting because it's like, so the thing would be if people managed to get their cards for AD in time, because like Omnimon is a lot of new cards you were needing. Like you need Omnimon himself, and then also if you're playing like the adventure stuff, you need those. New Wargreymon, new Metal Groove monitoring are options.
Most of
Blitz
the
and
prime
Crest.
delayed as well.
Yeah, some places had their set releases delayed. I think in America in its entirety had the whole set delayed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it was a scramble for people to get their stuff, which means people I imagine if they were planning on taking these decks would have been testing them from card reveal, like on simulators and stuff.
But just hoping they could get that
Yeah.
cards in time.
Because it's like, do you have to make the concession about like my deck that needed 4 secret rare Omnimon? Turns out I only got like 3. So it's like, what's the other Omnimon I play? Do I go back to the Ace, or those kinds of those kinds of misoptimizations from being so close to set release? And also it means like the gaps in people's testing. Like, me and Marcio are like pretty firm believers that Crossheart is like there's something definitely there. I don't know if it's like very, very good, but
I
like
mean, a
there's
lot of locals, it was X1 until I've had 4 turns to potentially we just freezing
yeah,
the
freezing
Psyche.
Psyche.
But
Like,
it was X1 right up until last round.
yeah, exactly. Like I think
Or
like
X1 until last round.
Yeah. X7 and Z Greymon especially, are like really, really good like ceiling extenders, but also Zeke being like a boost to the consistency finally of Zeke. Greymon now has finally just decided to shut up and join the better team. Sorry, not sorry, Seb. So like that's definitely real. Aldemon is as good as you can make a red hybrid level 5 legally in the Digimon card game.
Aldemon's bananas.
Without making it due to the ban list.
Yeah, exactly.
The quality of AD cards I think is really interesting, because if you just look at like the standouts, it's like somewhat disproportional to like
Oh
where
yeah,
you
there's
would
some
expect
like
their power to be. Like
there's some
the
custom cards,
obvious-
and then there's some less developed decision trees.
Some things seem like they were made strong intentionally, and some things seem like
Shine and Marcus stand out in my mind. It's
Yeah.
like these Shine, Marcus, and the choice to unrestrict Sunrise Buster as we go into DATS plus additional Shine support is definitely like an intentional. It's Marcus has not really been in the game since like BT 13, 14, like that kind of era. Like since he got burst mode the first time, so I'm okay if they're like we want to make Marcus good again. I think he's one of those decks where they kind of nailed. BT12 came out and they kind of got it right. Where what is the appeal of being a Shine Greymon fan?
Marcus
It's Marcus Punch. It's Marcus Punch. It's always been Marcus Punch.
That, and they finally did the artwork with the Marcus in the Shine's hand. We said from the first mod being released that should have been an artwork.
It should have been an artwork, and they finally did it. It's killer. So I'm excited for that.
That's one of the ones that feels really obvious. Like, they know the power is in the ridiculous level 6 and the ridiculous gamer card.
It's also an interesting deck in terms of, like, you don't, like, so one of the things with Digimon as it stands right now is that you kind of have to have one of two things, one of three things. You need a way to massively impact the board and establish your own board without attacking. You need to be able to reset Nursery, or you need to have Rush, or be a DNA deck and functionally have Rush. Because if you get full cleared and you don't have access to a real rebuild, then, like, you basically have to play like a Villager and OTK deck. And, like, yeah, that's, like, I suppose that's the fourth option, is that you can decide to play Mushrooms in the RPS. But it's like, Shine is interesting in terms of it is a deck that elects to do, like, a different variant of it, where it's more akin to the hybrids, where if you scramble for Agumon, I think the new like, I might be wrong.
BT21 Agumon plus Agu Marcus Tamer card makes Ruin Mode from one mech.
But not even just Ruin Mode, like, the thing is that, like, the Marcuses themselves will have been in play for a turn. So if you just go up your stack and just begin converting Marcuses into Digimon using things like your Agumon effect to do it, and you're, like, scrambling for an Agumon, your deck's rebuild is, instead of getting your Shine Greymon probably won't do any damage other than, like, the burn from 13 burst mode, but Marcus, the three Marcus, those guys can just punch. It's more akin to, like I was saying, like the hybrid decks, where it's like they get away with not needing the Nursery because the hybrid deck Nursery is Takuya Kambra staring at you from the back row with 6 sources going, "You want to die?
You gonna do it?"
What if I killed you? What if I killed you right now? What if you exploded?
Yeah, AD is interesting because for every one of those, there's like I don't think they're strictly terrible card quality, but like Adventure, the Gallants, like Adventure, I think has all the pieces to make it work, but requires so much more work to do than the rest of the like.
It's so strange where it's like the 6s, I think, specifically Metal Garurumon, right? Like he's the standout.
He's the obvious.
The unsuspend is very like an unsuspend that you don't have to work as hard for.
Like they are not weak cards though. It's just like they're. Like Metal Garurumon has no bad scenarios in the current.
The problem with them ends up being that, like, it's the desire to play Adventure Omnimon gives you this weird situation where it feels like you have to cut some of the appeals of Adventure to facilitate Omnimon, when you could just be putting these cards into, like, you could just be putting this new Omnimon into your Omnimon deck as a thing to assembly for, as a thing to Mega Knight for, or as a thing to just end of turn DNA for.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of.
And then also a funny one of in Royal Knights, where sometimes if your opponent puts a guy in front of you, you get to eat their delay.
I just my sense is that people are desperate to use everything that AD gives you, not just the good things that AD is giving you. And Adventure, having by consequence gained the most things, is the most diluted in its current iterations, where
for sure.
In another month people will have figured out that Melga on top of the previous Adventure shell is a way to build the list and make it work.
Yeah.
Whereas people will have also sussed out how to best use Omnimon, how to best use the Imperial cards.
That is one of the appeals of like playing a like format that is close to set reveal and close to ban list, is similar to when friend of the show, Tommy Tricks, got his invite playing Meggy at Pontypool. It was like very, very close to BT21 set release. So people hadn't realized
it was untested format.
It was untested format, exactly. It was like, it's also it was first unified format as well. So it was like there was no precedent for how good Megidramon was until like that event, where people discovered, oh, these cards are very strong. And then the eventual realization of, oh, maybe the worst card in Meggy was Meggy. And then began the era of random decks that were just slotting in like Growlix as like their red aggressive shell. It was interesting, like, untested formats mean that you can kind of, if you have confidence in what you are bringing,
you can get away with anything.
Exactly. It's like the wild west of like theory, where it's like if you just believe in if you have a list that you are like, you can make your called shot and try to run with it.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm excited for Bristol. I always think the first UK events of the year are funny because they, people who care a lot more than me have had lots more to say about invite questions and structures. I don't necessarily think the fucking Misplay car pod is the place I'll do it. But like, um, I am excited for like the sort of established precedent of like the year. Like the prizing updates this year mean that people I think are more excited than they were this time last year. Like the cut sheets are cool.
I think the
book
uncut
playmat
sheets are a
arts.
really good addition to
Yeah,
Prizing.
it's
I'm
Jesus.
very
cool.
excited.
They're
They're,
gorgeous.
they're
If you-
so pretty.
If you've had if you've seen them online, if you haven't seen them online, you can find them on like the Instagram and Twitter, whatever. Like go look there. Like
I'm forever
so
mad
sick.
that was it China that gets the
China's-
uncut shits for the Liberator 3v3?
China's China had a set of 3v3s where I'm pretty sure it was like the Liberator team 3v3s, and the prize was the uncut sheet for EX11.
It's
That was where you had to
awesome.
play 3 Liberator decks.
Yes, it was,
Yeah.
it was a team of 3 Liberator decks had to be.
I'm so sad that wasn't brought. I was really looking forward to that.
I'm looking forward to Bloom being really revealed. Hopefully it gets an SP, and then hopefully there's an uncut
Cut
sheet
sheet
that
with your
comes
blue.
after it as
I
well.
believe. And the other thing though that you were saying about like first UK event, I think that the change to invite structure, one of the biggest things is it makes events earlier in the year were kind of nothing burger because we are so far removed from like nats and stuff that like it does not matter.
Yeah, we are
what,
too
like
full
it would
storage.
not sorry it would previously not have mattered how this went for you because you get first place in this format. Okay, in 8 months time,
4 months time.
yeah, 3 formats time, like your deck might not even exist anymore if there's another ban list, or it might have just been like fully hunted out of the format by something designed to kill it.
Yeah.
Like, so then there's the non-zero chance that we get like invites mean that there's reason to take these early events seriously.
But it just means that some of the early ones can be the most competitive because all the good players fighting for their and vice versa.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, with
No
no
fast
handouts. Yeah.
It will be interesting for me. I think like one of the things we saw at Glasgow last year is like it produces a very different kind of metagame compared to the rest of the data pools. And like the issue will be how we'll be able to sort of work out if it's a trend or not, if it was truly just off the back of combined 2.5 release. Because our Glasgow regional last year was 2.5. It was the last event before unification. And
The format sucks.
yeah, that format was ass. But it was interesting to see because it was really wide results-wise compared to some of the other ones that we've seen throughout the combined formats, like the BT 2.0, or sorry, combined special booster 2.0, or whatever the hell it was called.
I can't
Like that was just purple hybrid.
I can't tell if wide formats are a good thing or a bad thing because wide formats means lots of decks are viable, so people can kind of. It's more like a. Am I wrong in saying it's more of like a pet decker format?
Yes.
I think it's a deck builder format. So it's, pet deckers happen.
I think pet decker was the wrong word for it. Sorry.
No, I think you're right though.
You've got a very big range of decks, so there is more representation of like niche things and like maybe like not tier 1 stuff. When you've got like 3 decks that are best deck in format, you'll know like most rounds you're gonna see that. And the pet decker, quote unquote, is like lower down in the tiers for like final rounds. They're not as good. Like,
It very much depends on also your pet deck's interaction with top deck. Because like you can end up in situations where the one I always say is like BT13 Alphamon was a fine deck in the format, but it was also the best black deck, which means it was the best Congo deck, and that was Shine format, and Congo was very good against Shine. So like
it
narrow-
had its niche.
narrow formats can benefit pet decks if your pet deck interacts favorably with meta, but wide formats mean that if one of the perceived best decks is like a 90-10 matchup for your pet deck, like against you, like TommyNT Alpha was miserable. So like if that format were wider, like BT14, or not, sorry, not TommyNT, just regular Fenrir.
But like how Bloom Belfer was.
Exactly, like if those formats are wider, kind of like how BT13 always a little bit wider, it means that you could just go with the I will simply dodge it plan and just not have to see the deck. Because like your BT13 Bloom run, you just did not see
I didn't see Belfer.
at all.
Marcio saw
Marcio
Belfer
saw.
but beat it.
Yeah.
But I didn't see a single Belfer.
Yeah, the appeal of a wider format is the ability to be like, I can just prey on dodging my bad matchup.
Sorry to interrupt, but my phone is shouting at me for low storage, so we might have to quickly end this one and then come back later.
So
Go swap to a different phone.
Probably. Enjoy Bristol.